Nigeria Info FM streamed it. We're also going to be streaming this conversation we're having today about World Cities Day. Now, every day at 5, between 5 and 6, we bring you the big hard fact where we talk about one deep issue in Nigeria today. And today, we're discussing Lagos. From now until 6, we're diving deep into Lagos. One big issue in Lagos. Actually, it's Nigeria, but, we're focusing on Lagos. It's, again, it's because today is World Cities Day. It's a day that the United Nations has set aside to promote the advantages of urbanization, as well as the challenges of urbanization. And today's big hard fact, I give you one every day, is that according to the United Nations, Lagos, with over 8 million residents, is the second most populous city in Africa after Cairo, and the most populous city in sub-Saharan Africa. So Lagos is the closest thing to a mega city in Black Africa, and really should be at the forefront of showing the benefits and advantages of city life. But when you compare Lagos to other cities of its size in the world, when it comes to those advantages of urban life, Lagos tends to be behind the curve. So, for example, the Economist Intelligence Unit, the EIU, they gathered data on the world's biggest cities. And this year, out of 60 global cities ranked on security, the EIU ranked Lagos the most unsafe. The EIU also said that Lagos is the third least livable city on its index. Only 2 other cities were worse cities to live in. So today, let's look at the reasons why Lagos is doing so badly in these rankings and what needs to be done to improve our standing. Also, we're going to be looking at the theme of World Cities Day as it affects Lagos. The theme for this year's World Cities Day is changing the world, innovations, and better life for future generations. That's the theme for this year. But World Cities Day has also a permanent theme, and that theme recurs every year. And the theme is Better City, Better Life. So we're talking about that. We're going to talk about how we can use innovations to solve the peculiar problems of Lagos and how those improvements could lead to a better life for all of us in this city. I'm still trying to become an Omoiko, but don't worry, I'm getting there gradually, slow by slow, small. Now, of course, you are my most important guest, as always, and I want to hear from you throughout the show. And I'm curious what you will say the most major challenges for Lagos is. What do you think are the major challenges of city life in Lagos for you? I have on the show with me somebody who runs an NGO about rethinking Lagos, and it's called Rethink Lagos. Deja Kimpelu, hi. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for having me.
So the first question I've asked everybody who's listening to the show is, what are the major challenges of city life in Lagos? I'll ask you that first, and then we'll move on to the major questions.
Okay. So basically talking about city life in Lagos, like you've correctly put it, Lagos is a mega city by the virtue of its population. As long as a city, you have more than 10 million people living in that city, so you are a mega city. So usually people confuse that terminology. Oh, they want to make Lagos a mega city. No, Lagos is already a mega city. But the vision of the state, which you always hear, is that they want to make it a model mega city. So like you've spoken about rapid urbanization, which is what you witness in Lagos. So when you talk about the major challenge, so the scenario is like this. A lot of people come into the city because that's where they believe that there is life, there's opportunity, there's aspiration and all of that. So the challenges that create, I can remember then like 60 or 70 people are said to come into Lagos on a daily basis. And, you can't really, we don't really know where that fact is from, but you have a large number of people moving into the city. So that creates a big challenge in terms of the fact that we have limited resources and you have more people that are coming in. So people are coming in for housing, they are coming in for education, they're coming in for water, they're coming in and they are going to generate a lot of waste. So, I can't really pinpoint and say, so it affects all the entire strata of life that you can ever experienced. So there's pressure on housing, there's pressure on waste management. So it's all intertwined. So it's pretty much now you're looking at the totality of the urban planning that goes on, the city planning and its governance system, how it's now responding to this increasing population on a daily basis.
Let's talk about your organization. It's called Rethink Lagos.
So it's called Rethinking Cities.
Oh,
but we run a
Rethinking
campaign.
Cities, I
We run a
see.
campaign called Rethinking Lagos.
Ah, I see. So I have to update my own information in my head. But that name, the name of the campaign, it suggests that we are conceiving the city in the wrong way.
Yes,
What do we need to rethink about Lagos?
the way we are planning the city. So, so the government of Lagos, as far back as the administration of His Excellency Mr. Fashola, had conceived a vision for the state, which states and the mission of the state development plan. So there's a development plan for Lagos, which was to span between 2012 to 2030. It says the vision will be achieved by poverty eradication and sustainable economic growth through infrastructural renewal and development. So the perspective to approaching Lagos as a city is through largely infrastructural renewal
Okay.
and infrastructural development. And you begin to hear terminologies about, okay, we are trying to build a model city, a model mega city that is similar or shares a resemblance to big cities like Dubai and all of that. But that approach is a bit, in as much as it sounds good and beautiful, oh, let us build a city that it shares resemblance with a city like Dubai. Yes, it's good, but it's not inclusive. So our development approach has not been inclusive in the last few years. So you have policies and actions that are largely anti-poor in our society. Now you have to understand that Lagos is made up of largely 60 to 70% of informality. So informality in terms of informal housing, informal workplaces, made up of the informal sector of artisans, market women, Okada riders. So the largest chunk of the population is made up of these people. Now your development plans seem or clearly shows that the policies tend to be more of anti this category of people. The first action that was taken by this government was pretty much to take away some people from different parts of Lagos and different shanties. Why is it that whenever we want to solve a problem, it is the poor that you first of all think about getting rid of? We have cases of several forced evictions that have been carried out in Lagos. So infrastructural development, we want to build a bus stop, we want to build housing estates, and the next thing that the government thinks of is that we have to take away people that are poor from this particular area, label them as criminals and say it's a criminal hideout. Case in point, 2016 Otodogbame crisis, people were chased out, people died, people lost their lives just right behind Lekki Admiralty, and you have a luxurious estate being built right there right now. And so it seems the policies is you are trying to build a shining city, infrastructural development, a city that at the end of the day will never be affordable for the large majority of the people. It is not inclusive. It is when you go to housing, for instance, so the government repeatedly has said we cannot build houses and sell below cost. So the question is, how are you researching building houses in a cheaper way as a government, if at all?
But if you're saying, DG, that if you're saying the infrastructure first approach is not working, because
No, it's not that infrastructure shouldn't be built.
Okay.
But approach to infrastructural development should be inclusive.
Yeah. So if you're saying, it's anti-poor, the inclusivity is a better way, is what you're saying.
Yes.
I see.
So plan for all. You know, there's a new film in Lagos that came out, and I love the slogan. Actually, probably describes the way I see government policy.
Okay.
It talks about the 1% of the 1%.
I loved that movie, by the way.
So we don't want to give them free advice, but you know, in fact, though, it's interesting how the arts actually brought out the thinking. You know, the last statement that was made on that in that movie, the guy said, "Let us leave Lagos for the Lagos people."
The 1% of
the
the 1%.
of the 1%.
I'm glad you've brought up art. One of the hallmarks of the world's leading cities is their cultural life.
Yeah.
Right. These cities are centers for the arts, for entertainment.
Yeah.
How do you think Lagos is doing when it comes to arts and entertainment?
Arts and entertainment, yeah. Well, we keep having more and more events coming up here. The last administration had a whole lot of. But when you talk about the culture, it's fast disappearing. We are not being true now. Take, for instance, a place called Makoko, a fishing community. This is a community. This is one community that is under serious threat of possible eviction anytime from now. And there are several of those kind of communities. That's culture. They have their arts. They have their lifestyle. But your quest for land to build luxury estates is putting that place at threat. So there's no tenure for them. They are scared. They can't rebuild their houses because there's a possibility of forced eviction.
That they'll be kicked out.
That is being kicked out. That it is likely that they will be kicked out. We are having more and more. So in the name of development, we are having more and more gentrification. You are seeing local places that people where locals live, and people are being forced to sell their lands. Culture is not in any way being preserved in its real sense. You know, there's this historical building that was pulled down some years ago in Lagos. So hey, when you're talking about entertainment in terms of they're organizing,
the music is booming.
There's a music festival. You know, there's this end of the year countdown and all of that. If that was what you call entertainment, fine. But when you talk about culture, and that actually brings me to what kind of Lagos should we have? It's a Lagos that is true to its culture, its heritage. That you know. I mean, you want to build something that is true to us. Preservation of our own culture, our own people. You understand? The economic opportunities that exist in a whole lot of slum areas is something that we need to explore. Makoko is pretty much very popular all over the world right now, but it has its economic potentials. When government goes into that kind of place, don't chase the people out. Plan with the people. So what we've been having in terms of the vision for the state is that the government plans and hands it over to the people. Whereas what we're saying is that why don't you go down to the people, understand the people, their lifestyle, their culture, their heritage, and begin to build around that.
I see. Now, you talked about how Lagos is mostly populated by people in the informal sector.
Yes.
And we know that people in the informal sector often have challenges interfacing with government services
Serious.
because they are built with the formal sector in mind.
Yes.
Now, what are the ways that the people who run Lagos can change the regulations and the processes in the city to make it more inclusive of the informal sector?
Thank you. I'd like to take case in point, waste management. There's this viral video that happened some days ago of a community somewhere in Lagos. People were throwing dirt into the gutter, which is very, very, very wrong. You understand? And I've been to worse, as in terrible places in this Lagos where you have waste management issues. You understand? So there was a law promulgated in Lagos about the ban of cat pushers. So before PSPs, we used to have cat pushers. So in the bid to have this luxurious shiny state, you have this idea of what you call PSPs.
I like how you say luxurious shiny state.
Which is good, you understand. It's not, the PSPs are not bad. But what you needed to put into consideration is that there are certain communities that by the time we start off this project, these trucks, although there were smaller versions too that were meant to service these areas. You understand? But where is their space right now? What we talk about are just the PSPs, the big trucks. Even some major areas in Lagos don't even experience that service. Now, these poor communities where you have informal settlements, what is the plan? how do you get their waste out? You have banned, you've placed the ban on cart pushers. So how are they going to get their waste out? You understand? So you have to understand the peculiarities and begin to know that, okay, hey, we are planning for different kinds of people. You understand?
So what should government have done? What could the government have done to preserve the cart pushers?
You have to
while still building the image of the bright and shiny city.
Yeah. While still building that same your next Dubai city, you know, but rather I would say the next Lagos. I don't say the next, making Lagos the next Dubai. No, it's not about it's about making it the next Lagos. So you have to give considerations and begin to trickle down planning. So part of the challenges that we also have in Lagos is that Lagos is being planned from the state. Local governments are having little or nothing to do with development, whereas development should have been brought down to local government. Now, when you bring development more down closer to the people, the local government understands the peculiarity of their local area and begin to address those issues. So you say, okay, for instance, okay, this area, yes, there's a law. You understand? This area, because of its peculiarity, it's an informal area. We design a waste management system that does what? That service that area. So that cannot, everywhere is not, you cannot plan for Lagos as if everywhere in Lagos is Bodilon. No. So you cannot have the same law, the same practice just flowing everywhere. You have to understand.
So Lagos needs to go back to local governments.
Yes, you have to go back to local government. So it's amazing, you know, when I'm looking at Twitter, somebody will say our road is bad in Agbulegba, another person will say our road is bad in Ekpe. Everybody is talking to the same governor, the same governor. You see, because you have not, because power, you've as far, I always tell people in 1993, Adeniji Adele, the then chairman of Lagos Island local government, actually bought buses, brand new buses, as public transport called Golden Line. That was a local government project many years ago.
And it was a way to generate revenue for the local government.
Yes, it was a way. So local governments were known to do great stuff. Ikeja local government built Alade Market.
So one way to rethink Lagos would be Lagosians to demand that we go back to actual local government systems.
Yeah, it's not that there is no local. Okay, a working.
Yes.
You understand? You have to bring it down. You have to bring governance closer to the people. Waste management, markets. Markets is also a big issue. So even the local government right now, they are beginning to even think, even the little that they want to do, they are thinking like your state governor, the way they, you know. So take for instance, Alade Market was built several years ago by Ikeja local government. And the local government chairman now said, now they should pull down the market. The market has been pulled down for over 2 years now. Nothing is happening. And it was given to a developer. A developer to do what? To build a mall. Now, back to what I was saying. So must we have malls everywhere in Lagos?
Can we all afford malls?
Can we all afford malls?
Let me give you a concrete example.
You want to buy tomatoes?
I actually buy tomatoes at the mall, but
that's
I'm not the average Lagosian.
You're not the same. You're one of the 1% of the 1%.
No, not yet, but amen to that. Let me use a concrete example. For example, ease of doing business, right? Yeah. You have hawkers.
Yeah.
Who are a big part of life in Lagos.
Yeah.
They have no permits.
Yeah.
They have no rights.
Yeah.
They often get raided by police or chased away by a task force from their corners and from roadsides. But we've seen the very rich cities like Hong Kong.
Yeah.
They found ways to register and regulate their hawkers and their street vendors. Why do you think Lagos has not embraced this approach?
Thank you. You said it, I didn't say it. So it's actually one argument that we put forward, and like people say, okay, what are you trying to say? They should recognize street hawkers. But you said it. I have not even gone there. So, you know, recently, in how many months of this present administration, there's now the renaming of they are bringing Kai back kick against the discipline. That's what we say about the anti-poor mentality, that you get into the system and the first thing you ever think of that is the solution to the problem is that, oh, let's get rid of these people on the street, on the road.
Who's bringing Kai back?
Yeah, it has been rebranded. It's coming back as Kai.
So it's not war against indiscipline anymore.
Kai, there was the environmental sanitation department of, it was rebranded by the former administration, but it's going back to its former name.
Okay.
But what I'm trying to bring out is that, why is that the first thing on the agenda, even though it's not even supposed to be? So like you rightly said, what some of our people don't know, when they go abroad, they only go to the nice places. They don't know that some places even do exist, that they give recognition to street traders. They register. They give them certain positions where you could stay, let us even just move into the concept of even markets. Sandro's market has been demolished for how many years right now? How many years? And people are now trading. So I went to Sandro's market one day. The market has been demolished for over 6-7 years. People are trading on the street. And this government agency in terms of sanitation goes and starts arresting people for trading on the street. I say, don't you know as government that it is a crime for you to delay people? If social infrastructure delayed, you understand, it is rights of the people denied. You don't have an explanation. Markets are locked, places are locked down. Alade market has been locked down for over 2 years. Not one single construction has gone up.
So it takes.
Must we do malls? Is there a concept of traditional local markets? It is not everywhere in the UK that is that they have malls. There are traditional markets too.
So it takes us, to the question of governance.
Yeah.
Which inevitably takes us to politics.
Yeah.
Does the political system make these reforms impossible?
Yeah, in fact, I think it's taking it up high. I think what I've come to understand, you understand, beyond politics, I think the way the average person sees the city is a bit faulty. Yes, and sometimes I want to speak to the middle class. Not until you begin to speak and you begin to say, why? Because we have a general aspirational lifestyle. Everybody just wants to aspire. What we do in this part of the world is that we don't really want things to get better for all kinds of people. We only aspire to become one of them that are good enough. So everybody lives this lifestyle of, okay, hey, I want to be part of the 1% of the 1%. So they are just aspiring and they are working. Whereas you don't know that we all cannot be part of the 1% of the 1%. So there's a fault in our thinking generally, not just those who are in government, that we should build a city that is what? That is general, that covers the interest of everybody, that is inclusive. You understand? So you begin to, during the elections, I posted a question to the present deputy governor. He was on a radio station and we spoke about this issue of markets. And we spoke about it. He said, no, that we need to build ultra-modern markets. Let us leave this thinking of small malls and all of that. Ted Joshua Market. What is the occupancy rate of Ted Joshua Market after it was built? There is a close link between transportation and markets. So when people use a bus, you have this level of income and all of that. People, when they come down from a bus, they are going to their house. Because of the little amount of money people have available, they shop on the road, you understand, and go to their house. They buy almost every day or every other day their tomatoes, and all of that, to go to their house to go and buy food. Now you have a bus stop in Yaba there, and you build a Ted Joshua Market as a mall. I mean, who is coming down from a bus going to his house to go inside Ted Joshua Market to go and buy tomatoes?
Hold that thought. We're going to come back to it after the break. We'll talk transportation as well. 27 minutes past 5. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. I've got Deji Akimpelu on the show with me. He is from the NGO Rethinking Cities. They're currently running a campaign, Rethinking Lagos. And we're talking World Cities Day and Lagos's plan to present itself as a megacity. How are we doing? What do you think are the major challenges to city life in Lagos? Tell me after the break.
Hard facts will be right back. Welcome back to Hard Facts.
You're listening to Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili, and we have been diving deep into one big issue in Lagos or in Nigeria. We're talking about Lagos itself. Today's World Cities Day is the United Nations Day to promote the advantages of urbanization as well as the challenges of urbanization. And when we started, I told you that the UN says Lagos, with over 8 million residents, is the second most populous city in Africa after Cairo and the most populous city in sub-Saharan Africa. So Lagos is the closest thing to a mega city in Black Africa. Now, talking about Lagos's status as a mega city with me is a man who works with an NGO that rethinks cities, and they're running a campaign called Rethinking Lagos. And he is Deji Akingbelu. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
As usual, you, my most important guest, are listening and you have answers. And so whatever answers you have to the question, what are the major challenges of city life in Lagos for you? I would like to hear it. What are the major challenges of city life in Lagos for you? Who's listening to me in your car? You probably say it's traffic. Who's listening to me in your house? You probably say it's the flooding. Who's listening to me in your office? You probably say it's the traffic, which is why you're still in the office, hoping that the traffic dies down before you start heading out. So what are the major challenges of city life in Lagos for you? Call us on 01277 0993, 01277 1993, 01277 2993, and 01277 3993. Deji, before the break, you talked a lot about the attitude of Lagosians and our disconnect. And you say that a lot of the Lagosians in the middle class are on a quest to be part of the 1% of the 1%. Do you think that some of the municipal problems we have in Lagos would be improved if more Lagosians are more engaged or were more engaged in the civic life?
Yes, things will definitely get better if people, first of all, take a step back, understand what is going on and how the city should be planned. Getting some knowledge in terms of not just you taking the position of, okay, I just aspire to. And interestingly, we are all people who have even stepped up and moved on, that you have the luxury of living in Lekki Phase 1, Lekki Phase 2. We are all now being affected by climate change.
Yes, we're drowning.
Everybody is drowning. So you see, sometimes you may think that you're trying to escape something. So another part of it is that till today, Lagos State doesn't have an action plan on climate change.
And World Tsunami Day is next week, Tuesday. I wonder what Lagos would do if there was a tsunami. And there are reports claiming that Lagos will be submerged by 2050. Hold that thought. Let me talk to Okikiade. Okikiade, hi. Thanks for calling us.
My sister Sandra.
Yes. Good
I'm
evening.
back again, and I'm not among those women who who encourage their Yahoo children. Thank you.
Okay.
Please, your guest there, I appreciate where he's coming from, but all he has already been speaking about thinking Lagos is the market that the government took over and didn't do any good thing about those markets. My 4 sisters were affected by Ojuelegba market when they took them over, and then they didn't give them back the market again. Okay. The same thing in Alade market. I have one sister called Yaunike. She passed on in February 2013. And the people in the market knew her very well, But anyway, I didn't even know they have demolished the Alade market, even though I live at Ikeja, not far from police station there. But the problem with Lagos is not just the market alone. No. I said in the morning that first of all, transportation has to be sorted out. Otherwise, many people are going to die of heart attacks. Stress will be too much. We need to have railway, what you call a metro line, which was abandoned during Jakonde's period after the military took over. It's actually a waste of our money at that time. If we had that metro line finished in 1984, between 1984 and 1986 or so, thereabout, we would not have been in this kind of mess. That's number one for transportation. Then the roads are bad now. People are calling government of Lagos State to come and do something about our road network. They can't do it in the rainy season now. The best thing we could have done was that to shut down this whole Lagos for 1 week and concrete all the roads. If I were a magician, I would lock up the whole city of Lagos for 1 week and put all the roads in concrete pavement, which we call rigid pavement instead of flexible one, and remove all those trucks from Apapa Puff and Wharf. Let's send them to Ogun State, and then let us have free flow of traffic. Otherwise, we're not going anywhere in Lagos State. I'm still listening in. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Sandra.
for calling to share your thoughts, Okikede. George Izingbagada says Lagos government lacks capacity to manage population. What do you mean?
Good afternoon, Sandra.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, my name is George from Bagada.
Yes, go ahead, George.
With the influx of population in Lagos State, look at the infrastructure, one after the other, be it waste management, transport, road. Lagos State does not have the capacity to manage, sustain, service this basic infrastructure for this growing population. I have argued this with my colleagues severally. Decongest Lagos. Let other seaports be in action. The numbers of vehicles and trailers that are coming into Lagos, they are enormous. Decongest Lagos port. The roads that were planned 30 years ago, that were built 30 years ago, was envisaged maybe for 10,000 cars per month, but now you have 10,000 cars in a day. How would you have a bad road? With the number of people coming to Lagos State, most all of us live in Lagos State. I was born in Lagos State. I know how the old Lagos was. I know how beautiful Lagos is. Now today they tell us Lagos is a center of excellence. Excellent rubbish. Lagos State is not a megacity. It lacks what it takes to be a megacity. Take China for example. Not only Beijing that is developed. Other cities have go to Shanghai, Guangzhou. Other cities are developed. Decongest Lagos State. Let Ogun State be developed. Create free trade zone in other cities. Let there be seaports in Warri, Port Harcourt, and other states. Industries. Let there be industrialized cities in other. Everybody must not come and work and die in Lagos State. This is my take. Good afternoon, Sandra.
Thank you so much for calling me, George. I want to come back to you now, Deji. Okikede told us that, he had a few ideas. He told us what he would do to solve traffic if he were a magician.
Yeah.
But he's not a magician. None of us are. So what is the non-magical solution to our traffic problem?
Well, the truth is, a megacity. So let's put it again. Lagos is not trying to be a megacity. Lagos is a megacity by the virtue of its population. Now, to the question. A megacity like Lagos cannot exist without a rail system. The major means of transportation for Lagos should be rail. Now, this is where the problem is. Sometimes we understand the solution to our problem, but our sense of urgency is very, very poor. So Lagos State has been trying to build one blue line for how many years right now? So you see, that's another thing. It is not enough for you to plan to build an infrastructure. It is not enough for you to start building the infrastructure without completing it in good time. Sense of urgency and proper planning. So you just hear the rhetorics, there's the blue line, there's this plan for this, for how long are you other countries, other cities started this same rail project and they finished. So it is a crime. It's part of the things that we need to demand from those who govern us. This project is going to start. You are going to demolish this place. When are you going to build it? When is it going to end? It is part of it. So you have a system in Lagos right now. The boat system was celebrated. Lagos State did a partnership with the Uber, and there's the boat, which is fantastic, which is great. But you cannot have the way out for transportation in Lagos is for us to begin to look at light rails and begin to look at the city in terms of being able to, which people now is an urban planning failure. Lagos is not overpopulated. It is the planning that is failing.
We've got Gideon in Ikoyi. Gideon in Ikoyi says that Lagos is not a mega city. Gideon, why? Good evening.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening. Go ahead, Gideon.
Okay, I'll just say Lagos is not a mega city in terms of infrastructure availability in the state. I think you can see, at least you live in Lagos, you can see the roads. You can see the transportation system. You can see the drainage. You can see the type of vehicle that flies on the roads. You can see a lot of things. My take is, what I want Lagos State to do is to try as much as possible to decongest Lagos. How do they want to do that? They can, at least the seaports, we have them in the east, in the south. We have the airport and the rest of it. Let everything be decentralized so that Lagos can have the population they can manage.
Yeah, but that's not up to Lagos to do. Decongesting the ports, for instance, is federal government.
They can fight for that. They can say, no, we are no. You can't. If you are a human, even if you are a human being, you get tired and say, "I'm not doing again." you can't take the federal government and say, "Lagos, federal government."
I beg, don't do.
This is too much for me. Please do something about it. Because as I'm talking to you, Lagos being what it is today is stopping for me. It's stopping the development of other states. Yes, it's stopping the development of other states. Everybody, every foreigner that comes to the Lagos, do everything and go back. Nobody know whether there's Abia State or Ogun State or Enugu State. They just believe and whatever they see in Lagos, whatever they believe is Nigeria.
Yeah.
So I think they should do something about it. Lagos should do something for itself. If the federal is not doing something about itself, they should do something for and do the condition so that there will be free movement, at least free movement of people and goods.
Gideon, thank you so much for calling me. Femi says that Lagos lacks planning. Femi, welcome.
Yeah, good evening to you and your guest.
Yes.
I've been really entertained by his thought process this evening. And I want to say that we all know what the problem is. We all know what the problem is. And we can't, in as much as we want to, we cannot be in government, but I think we all know what the problem is, inclusive of those that govern us. So let me start from 1984, when Buhari decided to cancel that contract. It was ill advised. Now, because of the kind of structure we ran then, and it is still the same kind of similar structure we have now, where almost some things you have to do that, affects your people in your states directly, you have to go to the federal government. It doesn't make sense. The federal government does not even have a total overview of the problem until they come here, and of course they won't come here. So I think the major problem is, let us first try and relegate a lot of powers to the state government. One. Two is relegate a lot of powers to the local government, because that is where it really, really, really pinches. Two, and then we can now start to say we want to build this and that. And of course, we need to look into our procurement system, because one of the reasons why a Blue Rail has been spending this time this long is because, forget, they can plan as well as they want to, but procurement system, when you are supposed to buy something for 1,000 naira and then you have to go and buy it for 50,000 naira because any come more, any can become, it doesn't make sense. Good evening.
Thank you so much for calling me, Femi. You wanted to address the points that was raised by Gideon?
Okay.
On the ports?
So many things. And time is flying.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Lagos and the issue of other states. So it is very, very essential and important that Lagos at least begins to have a regional cooperation plan. You understand? So Lagos cannot, because of its nature, you cannot plan for yourself alone. You need to constantly speak to at least the neighboring states. Now, case in point, look at Ibafo Mowe axis of Lagos. You're familiar with that area?
No.
Oh, yeah, that's just moving out of Lagos and you've gone into Ogun State.
Oh, I see.
You understand? That's one area that is fast developing.
I typically don't leave the island.
Yeah. So 81% of the 1%. 80 to 90% of those people that live in that area, they actually work in the city of Lagos.
Okay.
So essentially, it is important that Lagos, though that place is not Lagos, is essential and important that Lagos works with Ogun State government to do what? To plan that area for its own good. You understand? Particularly when such areas are quite livable and you have infrastructure, you have a situation where people are willing to move. Imagine just having a train, a rail system, or a good transportation network, a good transportation flow from that area to the island. You see, there is a major mistake that has been made in Lagos. The fact that the rail system is not there. And no matter the number of 4th mainland bridge, 5th mainland bridge that you provide, road transportation as the sole means of transportation for the people in the mega city is not going to work.
Now, cities are living things, DG.
Yeah.
Every city has various overlapping ecosystems.
Yeah.
Everyone has a part to play. So
Yes.
government, the business community, the taxpayer, civil society, the unions, and so on. If Lagos isn't working, which groups are not pulling their weight?
The people.
Yeah, but the
If-
people make up all these other
Yeah.
parts.
I would have easily said the government because we have a case of urban planning failure and it's those that have led us. But I'd like to switch it and say I don't think our people are doing enough to demand for the necessary change. Because I've equally tried to reach out to people in government and I mean, I don't understand. There's this estate called Adeniji Adeli Estate.
Okay.
Several blocks of flats. The buildings are likely to go down anytime from now. We've done videos on that. The flooding, there's a serious flooding from the Lagos Lagoon. It is seriously affected by the Iluberian housing estate that is presently being built. And last week, the governor reassured the people about the estate that it has been abandoned, that is going to be built. But I wonder, is anybody telling the governor that that housing construction that is going on in that place is affecting another estate that was built by Jakonde in 1983? Absolutely unlivable. Houses submerged in water. Representations, tweets we've done. We need to mount a lot of. So when the lot of pressure came on the roads, on a Sunday, then the governor came out and, Julius Berger, we've hired this person. It was the Lagos Public Works that was trying to fix the road. But because people cried and people started shouting and like saying, hey, then, all the major construction, you guys go on the field. But you've done that. But you can't fix potholes and not fix drainage and think you solve the problem. Lagos has a serious drainage problem. The drainage master plan for Lagos is not being followed. We have poor drainage system. Even if you fix all the potholes in Lagos, good. But you've not solved the problem entirely. The drainage master plan for Lagos is not being followed. Drainages in Lagos is seriously underfunded. If you go and check the records, the funding for drainage system in Lagos is zero. We have new estates coming up in Lekki, Ajah, no drainage system. People are just building. We are like a disaster waiting to happen.
2050, if you listen to some of the reports that have recently come out. Next week, Tuesday, when we talk about World Tsunami Day, let's go to some of these communities that are submerged underwater and let the morning show talk to you about whether or not Lagos would survive if indeed a tsunami hits us. That's coming up next week, Tuesday. So make sure that you set an alarm so that you listen to that conversation on the morning Crossfire between 8 and 9 a.m. Robert Patrick on Facebook says, what makes Lagos a mega city? Is it the potholes? Is it traffic jam? Is it the high rate of insecurity? Lagos state government should wake up. And all the other comments there saying similar things as well. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Yes, it runs when you're having a great time. But I would like to thank our guest on the show very much today. He is from Rethink Cities, and they're running a campaign, Rethink Lagos. And that's because we are marking World Cities Day by looking at the challenges that Lagos faces in becoming a 21st century megacity. Deji Akinpelu, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Sandra, for having me.
Okay, and then because it was Thursday, we brought you Eyewitness, but it wasn't quite Eyewitness because a story from the Big Three ran into Eyewitness, and that's also because a big guest was on the Big Three today, Frank Mba, the police force PRO. He was on the show at 3 o'clock. If you missed that conversation, you can watch on Facebook, as well as the conversation I've just had with Deji. It's right there. Facebook is Nigeria Info FM. Thank you so much, Lagos, for being a part of the show today. Coming up is Listed Lagosian at 6:30, after the news at 6. I am Sandra Ezekwesili. Thank you, Lagos, and good night.
You are tuned in to 99.3 Nigeria Info.